Baby, with a UFC 236 boom post show. We got the boom machino here. It's running low, getting sad. That's when you gotta start sipping slow. You know the deal. UFC 236, what a fucking card, man. Gastelum versus Adesanya, one of the most exciting title fights to date, and probably one of the best fights this year so far. And it was crazy. It was cool to see, Kelvin Gastelum strip himself down before he got in the cage. He accidentally took his shorts off. That was hilarious. And then realized when he took the UFC the Reebok uniform off, he's like, "Oh, there go my shorts. Got to pick those back up." But what a fight against Israel Adesanya. You know, I was waiting to see Israel really tested, and I think Gastelum really, put him to the test. He landed some hard shots in there, and he was doing really well with the feints. I know Luke Thomas mentioned a lot of the significance of feinting and movement in this kind of fight, and just in Israel's fights in general. That's part of his game that a lot of strikers don't have at a high level. They're feinting, they're switching stances, their range control, just all those things together. I actually thought that Kelvin did a good job with the feinting himself. I thought he showed improvements in his head movement and how he approached the fight with Israel. It seemed like he was trying to go head to head with the feinting and work his way inside. He just does a really good job at closing the distance. He busted up Adesanya's lip a little bit. But man, Adesanya was landing those straight right hands really fast, really crisp, and he was really, he did a couple, he did a cool technique where he did like a switch stance straight left punch, not like a Superman punch or like a switch kick. It was almost like a switch kick setup, but instead of the kick, he went left straight hand. So he was standing regular stance, righty stance, and he switched to southpaw and then threw a straight left down the pipe. It was crazy. His speed and his accuracy was on point in this fight. And what heart showing from both guys. Went to the fifth round. I had a 2-2 going into the fifth round. I thought it was a close fight, and I just think it came down to who wanted it more that last round, and Israel was landing the better shots in the last round. He really almost finished the fight. The ref could have came in at the end there, but I think it was the right call to let it go. Championship fight, big stakes on the line. But he had him hurt there, and honestly, I was shocked to see Israel, almost submitted Kelvin with a couple of guillotines. He snatched up the neck. He showed improvements there in his jiu-jitsu game. He says in the training room he's been snatching up necks, so that's something you got to watch out for now. He had a close call with that in this fight. So, we're looking at him versus Whitaker now. Big fight in Australia. I'm sure they're going to make it over there. That's going to be a huge fight. Israel's one of the next big stars in the game, with Conor out and Khabib out at the moment. Israel's the guy. I mean, Cody could have been that guy, but he took those losses to Dillashaw, and that kind of faded. But now Israel Adesanya is like one of the next biggest stars on the rise, besides Khabib being in there. And he's going to be fighting Whitaker, and I'm so excited for that matchup because, before this fight, I would have for sure went with Whitaker, but now I'm like, I got to think about this. Adesanya has been tested now by Gastelum, and he showed a lot of heart. And I think it just brought the best out in him. I really wasn't able to figure out how to gauge him with the Anderson Silva fight because you just don't know what Anderson Silva that was. He's an older guy. He's kind of, he's had lackluster performances since he was, on his rise. And he's on his way out, So it's an older Anderson Silva. It was a great technical fight, but I really didn't want to put a gauge on Israel after that fight. I wanted to see this fight to then say, wow, this guy's arrived. Like, this guy's here. I was behind the hype. I mean, the guy has great skills. His striking is on another level compared to 99% of guys in the division. But I just wanted to see him tested like Kelvin did and to see him come out on top after that. That was awesome to see. Two Nigerian world champs and Usman and Israel Adesanya. That's great. I think the UFC should look to go to Africa at some point. Might be a smart time now to try to make that move for sure. But we'll see what happens there. One thing I noticed about Kelvin, though, he was really good at getting inside. He kind of does like a hop step, like a double hop, and then he throws a combination. And I think what he could have done a little bit better was react to Adesanya's kicks with counters, instant counters. And Kelvin Gastelum did a great job at slipping those straight punches, but not reacting right away with that left hand over the top. I think he could have really landed some hard counter punches if he would have just reacted right away. But overall, an amazing fight. Great performance. I believe they got fight of the night. And then moving on to the co-main event. Actually, that was the co-main event. The main event, Holloway versus Poirier. I got to admit, I was all Holloway after seeing his last fight against Ortega. Knowing he's a big guy, I know he was going up to 55. I just really didn't see Poirier putting it on him like that. It just wasn't in my imagination. I really thought Holloway's volume game was going to take a toll. I thought, I've seen Poirier fade in fights before where he's had trouble, and I thought that was going to happen throughout the first couple of rounds, and then Holloway's going to put it on him in like the fourth and fifth and maybe get a late finish. But Poirier was able to throw power shots in every shot, basically, throughout the whole fight. He hurt Holloway early. I think that was really significant. And his boxing looked amazing. Holloway really didn't get his rhythm going the same way he did against Ortega. His movement was great. He was using his angles. He was landing some volume strikes, but none of them really phased Poirier. And he didn't really mark up his face like that. You remember how Ortega looked after that fight? I don't know, man. Poirier's face looked like completely fine after taking some shots from him, but he did do a really good job at deflecting and blocking a lot of Holloway's shots. So Holloway was letting go of his volume when he had Poirier backing up, which was a very important part of this fight. As if you noticed, when Poirier backed Holloway up, when he had him on his back foot, is when he had his most success. And also when he countered shots in the pocket with big right hooks, big left uppercuts. Not so many, but actually he throws the front right uppercut. But his hooks in the pocket were devastating, and they were catching Holloway in mid-combination, and they were having him stumbling around. So what I was getting to was Poirier was wing blocking with his elbow like this and really hiding his face really well like this. He had the right shoulder up like this and the left hand up, or the right arm up and the left arm up like this. And a lot of Holloway's shots were getting deflected and they weren't really landing flush. So I noticed that in the fight. He did a great job at that when his back was against the cage and Holloway was moving forward. Deviated septum, sniffling like a motherfucker. And it seems like the more I talk, the worse it gets. I don't know why that is. Maybe my throat gets dry or something, but hey, fuck 'em. Take a sip of the Bumachino, you'll be back in no time. Yeah, so Holloway, amazing heart, stayed in there, got rocked multiple times in the fight, but stayed in there, stayed fresh. His cardio is insane, it's on point. But props to Poirier for being able to put it on Holloway like that and land those kind of shots. He was chewing up the outside leg with the calf kick early on in the fight. That was really good. And that right hook was just crucial for that fight. I think he hurt Holloway like twice with that thing, and he just shows amazing boxing work inside the pocket, which has led to a lot of his success against other guys too, like Gaethje and Alvarez. And now we're gonna see a fight with Poirier and Khabib most likely, and I think that's styles make fights. Holloway's a guy that'll get in the pocket, he'll exchange with you. He doesn't look for takedowns himself, and that's not something you need to worry about when you fight that guy. But with Khabib, you may be a high-level striker with power, but you're not going to let go of those strikes the same way having a guy like Khabib who, when he takes you down, he's going to fucking maul you, and he's going to trap those legs, trap the wrist, and be ground and pounding you. So it's something different when you're looking at a guy like that. It's all about styles, man. Holloway was a good style for Poirier because he could let go of his strikes without fear of a takedown. And also, Holloway's coming up from 145. He's the smaller guy, quote unquote, and you could see it in the cage. He really was. I didn't think it was going to be much of a size difference, but Poirier was just thicker, man. He had a lot more density in his muscles. His shoulders were wide. He really did look a lot bigger than Poirier in there come fight night. I mean, than Holloway. He was bigger, man. I didn't expect that size difference, but you know, we'll see Holloway go back down to 45 and defend his title, I'm sure. I really don't want to see him fight Jose Aldo again. Hopefully Volkanovski could put it you know, get a big victory and come out on top, and we can see a new guy contend for the title against Holloway. But yeah, what two amazing fights for UFC 236. That was great. You know, hopefully Holloway's okay. I know he was transported to the hospital. But he just has great spirits, man. What a humble attitude. The way he acts through both victory and defeat is just admirable stuff. And couldn't happen to a better guy than Dustin Poirier, man. He's got that same kind of story as Bisping, where ups and downs. He kept having setbacks, and finally he's got himself with a belt around his waist. And he's a great guy himself, humble guy, and really happy to see that happen for him and his family as well. Nikita Krylov, I picked him to win. I thought OSP's been, you know, struggling as of late. He's took a couple of bad losses, and Nikita Krylov has a lot of momentum going behind him. And you saw that OSP was looking for that same choke early on, because Krylov was looking for the neck with the guillotine. He was trying to hit that Von Preux choke, but he was overworking it. It wasn't there, and he was just, you know, overusing strength to try to get it. And Krylov weathered that storm, and he was landing some really good strikes. He had some good accuracy and precision on his strikes, and he got the choke himself, and you know, took OSP's back and was cranking that neck, but it seemed like OSP just had nothing left, and he had to tap. So that was that. But props to him. Pause. Got something on my finger. Fucking spilt something. It's not the Boomachino. The Boomachino is still in full effect. There we go. So, yeah. Other than that, felt bad for Boston Salmon. The guy had a lot of hype. I thought he was going to come out on top, but he just got caught with that punch. And some people are like, well, controversial stoppage. You know what? Sometimes it's like refs have a split decision to decide, oh, shit, he's hurt. I don't want to let him take further damage, or oh, he's hurt but he's still able to move a little bit, so let me let it go a little longer, see if he can get up. It's a fine line, man. You know, I think he was hurt. I think it was a just stoppage, and yeah, you can't blame the ref on that. That other guy hit him with a hard hook, and that was that. What else did we get? Did we want to highlight going down the card? Khalil Roundtree, man. That guy had some fucking crisp Muay Thai in this fight. Eric Anders moved up from 185 to fight Khalil at 205. And I got to say, he looked a lot slower. He looked lethargic in there. And he just didn't know how to deal with those leg kicks. Khalil was chewing up the leg early on, and he was like, he can't. I think he went to Thailand and trained for a little while, and you could tell that showed in the fight, man. His kicks were fast. His punches were fast. He was really explosive for the weight class at 205. He has a lot of promise for that weight class. I think as long as he shows up mentally there, he's devastating, man. And props to Anders for staying in there. I think he got dropped like 3 times in the fight, but he just didn't really get affected by it. He recovered on the ground, and Khalil was chewing up the legs. And then, man, he was landing that big right hook, leaping in fast. Really, really fast for a 205 guy. Really explosive. I'd like to see how he does as he moves forward. And that was a big win against Eric Anders, who has some big wins at 185. But I'd like to see him go back to 185. I think a big athletic guys at 205 give him trouble. I know he's a big guy himself, walks around like 220, but didn't seem right for that weight class. Really big win for Khalil Roundtree, and he looked sharper than ever. That was probably his best performance. What else? Alan Jouban versus Dwight Grant. I don't know how you guys scored that fight. I thought Alan Jouban, edged it out. I thought he was pushing the pace. He had octagon control. He was landing the better shots. I know Dwight Grant was throwing more power shots and a little bit wild in there, but I thought Alan Jouban, won at least 2 of the rounds. I thought round 3 he finished the fight strong. He almost finished the fight. I think he had him like mounted at the end of the fight. Got to give him the 3rd round there, but you can't leave it to the judges, man. Close fight, but he lost, and he's gonna be fucking taking pictures for Versace anytime now. Other than that, yeah, great card. A lot of good fights. A lot of very competitive fights, and we'll see what happens with the lightweight division now with Poirier winning that fight. The thing is, we got Tony Ferguson out there. Hopefully everything gets cleared up with him soon. I hope he's doing well. And it's like, I want to see him versus Khabib so bad, but you got to give Poirier versus Khabib now, I guess. And then I guess you can make Ferguson Conor, or you can make Ferguson Gaethje. I mean, that's a savage fight right there. Wouldn't be mad at either of those fights. We'll see what they do. Hopefully, we'll see Max come back down to 145 and defend his title. And that's it, man. That's the Boom Post Show. Nice and easy peasy. Quick. Fucking in and out. Just like you like it on a Sunday. Have a good Sunday. Tune in. We'll be back for the next fight card, St. Petersburg, with another Boom breakdown, baby. Boom.